Welcome to this week's episode of LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Bronagh Morgan. Here's the show where we talk about what you're talking about in London and southwestern Ontario. You know what I want to talk about today? I want to talk about a fantastic charity, so timely the work that you're doing because this is in the news all the time. I recently joined the board, so obviously this is something I very much believe in, and it's just a privilege to be a part of this organization, Unity Project. We're here today with Chuck, who is how long have you been the executive director?
I've been with the organization for 21 years and the executive director for the bulk of that.
Yeah, So Unity Project, Chuck Lazenby, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So for those people who don't know what Unity Project is, maybe we could get a little bit of the history and how we got to where we are today.
Yeah, so I think I'll start with kind of who we are now,
awesome.
Which is quite simply, we provide housing-focused emergency shelter, supportive housing, housing stability, and related to supports to people of all genders experiencing homelessness in London. Our goal with every individual that we work with is to really work with them towards housing and stability in the community, in whatever way that looks like for that particular individual, and using all community resources in order to do so. We started as a tent city protest in a city park in 2001. There was a group of activists. We called ourselves the Action Family. And we wanted to bring attention to homelessness during the Canada Summer Games. There's this kind of, at the time, London had a reputation of not having to deal with those kind of big city problems, right? And often people didn't know the amount of poverty in the city, and we really wanted to expose it. And so we took over the city park with the intention of bringing attention to that issue, and people experiencing homelessness also came to join us in that park. And, the Unity Project was born out of that action. In that park, we actually established our values, which we thought were a good, foundation for a healthy community, which were respect, compassion, cooperation, and interdependence. And they've stuck with us the whole past couple decades.
And you've stuck with it, these goals. So obviously lots of changes, lots of growth, lots of evolution over the years, and obviously the situation has changed.
Yes.
Markedly over the years that you've been involved.
Yeah, it's been quite the path, right? I think that we never intended for the protest to become an organization, and all the activists that were involved were very young people, not necessarily having chosen their careers or have gone to school for social work, and we were really brought up and into this work by the people who were experiencing homelessness. I think that the things that have changed over time is that we've just seen the crisis worsen. It's always been bad, and that's what really sucks is, when you are on kind of doing this work, it always feels like things are not okay and things are not good when it comes to poverty and homelessness, but it's just escalated to kind of epic proportions, especially over the past, I would say 5 to 7 years. But I think the things that haven't changed is that our work is really about the individual that's in front of us, right? No matter if there's 100 more people in line behind them, right? And I think that is what grounds me into doing the work, is that person who's just right in front of you, who wants support or is, whether it's something like basic needs, that food or shelter, to, navigating a really complex system. I think that's really where we're rooted in our work while we advocate for changes to the broader system.
So Unity Project has evolved into a charity that's existed in London for how many years now?
It's like 21 years, yeah.
21 years, so a big history. In terms of staffing, volunteering, who makes up the Unity Project?
Yeah, we have nearly 50 staff. Most of those are frontline staff. We run a 24-hour operation, and we require a lot of relief staff to help fill in when full-time staff are on holidays or ill. And so we have, a very good complement of really committed and hardworking frontline staff. really they're the the foundation of the organization, right? They keep it all together. And then we have housing stability workers as well. And we have fundraising team, and we have some management as well. And we're pretty slim organization for, I think all that we do. But we haven't been able to have volunteers or welcome them back into our organization much over the past, 3 years during the pandemic. We've been running out of a hotel, so we haven't had kind of our own space, and not actually even the space for volunteers to be able to work with us. So hopefully this coming year we can start to see that change and welcome them back. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. And so in terms of the community that you're serving, that the Unity Project serves, how does somebody, I guess, come into the organization?
Mm-hmm. So that's shifted a lot over the years. It used to be that you could just walk into our door, and then if we didn't have a spot for you, we would be calling around to see if we could find a spot for you somewhere else, right? And working with our community partners. During the pandemic, we actually shifted to taking intakes through the city-run coordinated access program, because our priorities shifted, so that we started to accommodate people who have complex medical issues, especially the ones that would make them more vulnerable to COVID during the pandemic, couples and people with pets, and specifically people who were unhoused. And so we now get referrals from the coordinated access program. And unfortunately, are full all the time. It's really, we used to see a lot more kind of movement of people in and out because housing was accessible. We thought it wasn't accessible back then, let me be honest with you. We thought it was really hard to get, but we could get it and we could find it with people. And now it's such slow moving because the folks we're accommodating they can't access housing without a rent supplement. They can't access housing without additional supports, and there's long lists for that. So.
And there must be a long list, I guess, to get involved with the project, or how does that, is there a wait list, or how does it work because obviously demand is...
For the residents who come to us?
Right.
Yeah, we don't maintain a wait list. What the coordinated access program would do is look for other accommodations. So basically they're shopping around the different services that exist in the community. And obviously we all know that we don't have enough resources in the community. Otherwise we wouldn't have to be having conversations about encampments and trying to strategize how to support people in those spaces, right? That we would actually have indoor spaces for folks and enough of them. So yeah, we're certainly not seeing enough resources to accommodate everyone at this point.
In terms of your community partners, maybe who are the other organizations that you're working with, and maybe if you can't fulfill the needs of a certain person?
The thing incredible about London is we have such a broad range of community partnerships, everywhere from other shelters to health partners to outreach, mental health and addictions. So we just are really, I think, quite privileged because the list is long. The list is very long with whom we work with, and that everybody tries to fulfill, a certain niche. So whether that is, housing stability work, or whether that is, providing basic needs, ensuring people have access to showers and washrooms, and to actually in-home support through PSWs. So yeah, we just have a huge network of people that we rely on to support our participants well.
And thankfully you do such a fantastic job. And I want to hear more about the work of the Unity Project, and maybe about how some people in our community, maybe that are watching, can support the organization. But we do have to take a little break. So please stay with us, Chuck, and please stay with us, viewers. We'll be right back with more LdnOnt TV.
This program is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Carbon monoxide is a deadly gas you can't see, smell, or taste.
Homes with fuel-burning appliances and/or attached garages must have working CO alarms installed outside all sleeping areas.
Don't let the silent killer get you. Install working CO alarms today.
Hi, I'm Dan Mailer. I'm the host of London Lights, the show where we talk about notable Londoners who have made a big mark, big impact on the world of music, entertainment, sports, politics.
On behalf of everyone here at Rogers TV, I want to take a second to say thank you to our volunteers, the ones that help keep us running here at the station. Whether it's the community producers that help book all of our shows, the hosts that sit in the chair and talk to everyone at home, or the camera operators behind the scenes, audio operators making sure you can hear what we are saying, thank you. You are the people that help keep us running. You're the ones that help us produce the content to keep the residents that watch us informed. You're the ones that help us tell the stories that matter. So thank you. Thank you for dedicating the free time that you have to us here at Rogers TV. Know that we appreciate every second that you give us, and we just want to take this time to say thank you.
Welcome back to LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. I'm Bronagh, your host, and I've been chatting with Chuck Lazenby, Executive Director and one of the founders of what is now the Unity Project, which is serving such an important role in our community along with partner organizations to do everything that individuals who are experiencing homelessness or maybe at risk of experiencing homelessness as well might need to find stable housing and I guess security and safety in our community. So thank you again for everything that you do. Let's talk now. Obviously, this is a really serious issue. This has been in every political conversation that we've had, because we've had a lot of elections in the last few years. Every time it seems like city council is in the news, this issue is coming up. The population of people who need housing is growing, and the available housing pool is shrinking, or it's just not growing in a pace. So how did we get here in terms of obviously there was political will 20 years ago when you were doing this advocacy.
No, there sure wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So your goal was to create this political will.
I think that there's, the thing is that when you're working on the ground, you have the hearts and spirits and community engagement and that motivation to help each other and help your fellow folk who are on the street, and that's really what organizations like ours do, is on the ground, in the moment response. And we do advocacy as well, but that does, what you would need in order to really change the system is so significant. We stopped investing in social housing decades ago. We have absolutely torn apart any sort of rent controls or idea of how to ensure that housing is accessible. And we haven't been able to keep up with building affordable housing over time. And London's population has grown. Vacancy rates are way, way down. So this, we knew this was coming. This shouldn't have been a surprise to anyone, but there never really has been the political will to do what is necessary in order to tackle this issue, which would be things like increase social assistance rates so that people can actually afford the rent out of their own pockets, right? That they can, shop around to where they feel most comfortable living. And like I said, making certain policy changes regarding rent control and access to housing that is rights-based, that takes away that significant commodification of housing, and we just haven't seen that. And so I think that what we have to do as a community and what we see as a community is we're constantly reinventing ourselves. We're constantly trying to like do our jobs better. We're constantly trying to see how can we get creative in these limited resources that we have, you know, and I think that one of the things we've seen, you know, in the past few months, I think in particular in our community and from council has been this whole challenge of like, are social services trustworthy, right? And are they spending these dollars reliably, and can, you know, why are we still seeing homelessness if we've invested all this money, right? And we will be investing more and more money every single year if we don't actually invest in those foundational pieces. And that's what we're up against, right? We're up against a lack of foundation for what we need in order to actually be successful in solving homelessness in London. You know, and I think that is where we need everyone, you know, in our community to be pushing those issues. And right now, the community, thankfully, is really aware of those issues, is talking about those issues. We also have a council that has supported, you know, a significant system change that we're working on as a community right now, coming out of the health and homelessness summits. And, you know, that offers some promise of doing our jobs differently and serving the population better. And the hope is that we can also keep that pressure of increasing social assistance rates, having more access to affordable housing at the same time.
So it's every level of government. There's the possibility for people who are, I guess, politically motivated to get involved and advocate for these policy changes, because you've really broken it down into kind of chunks, which makes a big which is how you tackle a big problem, is like you have to look at the component parts. And I guess sometimes when a problem seems big, that's exactly what people need.
Yeah, I think that what's really frustrating is we made it a lot more complex than it needs to be, right? That we say like, oh gosh, how can we deal with this issue? Well, like there's actually a couple things that we know work. We know when people have a minimum income that meets their basic needs that they're successful. We've tried that experiment with seniors in our country, right? With guaranteed income supplements. We don't need to test that out. We know that that's true. And so, yeah, I think there just is some easy things that would go a long way to solving this issue. Yeah.
So for people who are listening to what you do, and people who are obviously wanting to be a part of the solution, what could you suggest in terms of like, do we call city council? How do we get involved to, you know, in our own little way to start tackling this?
I think that's exactly right, is to pay attention to what's going on in our community when it comes to homelessness and poverty. And further, you know, when you get the opportunity to vote, when you get the opportunity to elevate your voice to various positions of power, that this always comes up, that this is a priority, right? That you ask questions and say, what are your answers? What are you doing about it? How are we pushing this topic to be able to solve this issue? We need that. We need people constantly pushing that, because if it's only us saying it, people listen less, right? But if it is everyone else saying it, like we've got a collective voice that I think could have significant power.
And in particular, like something that happens at the end of all of our shows is that we always listen to a young person, or we get the perspective on any issue from a young person. Obviously, you've been involved with this movement, with these issues since you were a very young person, and you're kind of living proof that you can, you know, this can be your kind of your life's work. Like if there's something passionate about as a young person, you can actually turn this into your life's work and really make a difference. And how many people's lives you must have.
I think that it's a really good lesson in like listen to young people. You know, we were mentored and coached and held and hugged and supported to be able to do this work by a number of much older people in the community who let us be that voice. And it's young people who change the world, right? It's not us as we get older, really, right? You know, because we don't take those risks. right? We don't, we get comfortable. And I think that it's just really important to pay attention to what young people are saying and doing and to support them. Mm-hmm.
And so, Chuck, like obviously it's a serious issue, so important the work that you do, but there's got to be some joy that keeps you motivated.
All the time.
Role.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love this work, right? I think that I just love people, and I love the opportunity to give someone a comfortable space to be, right? To be who they are and to be valued and to have dignity, you know, and that's just, it's so easy to do that, and just so rewarding, you know? I mean, I think that I always feel a little selfish with the amount of stories I get to hold on to, right? With the amount of, you know, experience and lessons and knowledge that's been given to me by the people that we, you know, give service to, right? So it is a great privilege, very sincerely, to do this work. The hardest part is dealing with the system, right? Is dealing with this just terrible system that we're up against every single day. That is the most difficult part of this job for me.
Well, thank you for everything that you do, and it's been a privilege to listen to you. It's inspiring, and I'm hoping that our viewers are inspired as well to get involved and, you know, listen, and, you know, we're all part of the solution. So thank you, Chuck. We're going to have to take a break, so please stay with us, and we'll have more LdnOnt TV after this.
This program is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Hi, can I take your order? Hello?
Oh, hey. Wait, what was the question?
Let me guess. One driving high combo, extra baked?
No. Could I get a burger with a side of fries?
Think you're a better driver when you're high? Think again. Smoking weed affects reaction time and concentration. A message from Mad Canada.
About 16% of the people we talked to actually became homeless during the pandemic. And it's a horrible thing to be.
And this one will escape the Niagara end. We have a counterattack the other way. Ooh, that's a pass right in front and a goal.
Wow.
And how quickly can defense turn into offense?
You're watching Rogers TV.
Welcome back to LdnOnt TV. Now, as always, and as promised, we are wrapping up our show with a young person, and this is a young person you'll be familiar with from a past episode of LdnOnt TV, Caleb, the Hype Boil. A lot of things have been going on in the last couple of years, I guess, since we spoke to you. Successful in martial arts. Now you're a multi-sport athlete as well at St. John's. So talk to me about how things are going in terms of, you know, your love of martial arts. I know you've been in a lot of competitions lately.
Yep. Thank you for having me on the show tonight as well.
Thanks for coming.
The tournament that has actually just passed was the Quebec Open in Quebec City. It was a good competition. It was an NASCA circuit. I did well in my fighting. It was very challenging competitors.
So for people who didn't see the last episode, what kind of martial arts do you specialize in?
I specialize in sport martial arts, and it's a little bit different from traditional. It does incorporate the traditional aspects of karate, but it also has an addition to creative and more freestyle type of activities and divisions.
Great for obviously fitness, but there's a huge mental aspect of this as well.
Yes, it takes a lot of perseverance and courage because these karate events can lead up to night shows and grand prizes, and you can end up in front of all these people that you weren't really expecting. So it takes a lot of courage to muster up to get this big journey ahead of you started.
And so what was your motivation? And, you know, for people who are young and just starting out or maybe looking for a sport to get into, how do you get started?
Well, I actually started when I was very young. I was getting bullied, and so I studied karate so I can help defend myself, and it turned into a lot bigger than just defending myself. It pushed me to be a better person, gave me motivation to get up in the morning and just wake up with a smile on my face, and it just put me in a better state of mind and a better place in life.
Fantastic. So what's next for you? You've obviously got some competitions on the horizon.
Yep, actually next week today, I'm going to be in Guatemala for the Pan American Games.
So you've seen a lot of the world, I guess, by getting involved in martial arts.
Yep, it takes you a lot of places.
Fantastic. Now, multi-sport athlete, so you're also involved in intramural or I think inter-school sports at school as well.
Yeah. I made basketball team earlier this year, and we won the A Division champions. And then beginning of this month, I made the volleyball team, and we got into A Division, but we got 4th.
Still fantastic. So how do you balance all of this with being somebody who is, you know, I think you're going into high school next year.
Yeah. Well,
so that's a lot
year.
that you have to organize.
Yeah. It's definitely a process, but especially when you're active and you love physical activity, it doesn't feel like there's much because you're just lost in the moment.
Fantastic. So for young people who would like to, I don't know, get involved in this sport, should we be looking at certain websites, or is there a great school that you could recommend?
I can recommend a whole bunch of different schools. But the one I train at is Hotshot Athletics in Cambridge right now. I know it's probably a bit of a drive from London, but I do recommend it. It's a great school. It pushed me to be a better person and helped me get to the next level. There also is Family Karate that's very close to London. I'm not sure quite where the location is, but it's a good place to start, and it gets you motivated.
Well, thank you for coming to check in with us. Good luck in Guatemala and all your future martial arts activities, as well as high school coming up. And thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for tuning in this week, viewers, as well. Caleb the Hype Boyle, so follow you on all your socials, of course. And thank you, of course, Chuck from the Unity Project, for stopping by and chatting with us today. We hope you'll tune in again next week for more LdnOnt TV.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
After a night out with your friends, not having a plan for a safe ride home can leave you in a bad spot. You could end up riding in a police car, an ambulance, or a hearse. These unplanned modes of transportation can be a costly choice and do not take you home. Your plan could include a designated driver, a taxi, or public transit. Drink responsibly, choose your ride, and have a plan for a safe ride home.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Calling all journalism students, Omni Television is once again awarding scholarships to qualified students pursuing a career in third language journalism.
I was overjoyed and honored to be chosen as a recipient of the Omni Scholarship. It has meant so much for funding my education and allowing me to dedicate more time to my studies.
Omni is home to a variety of locally produced current affairs programs and daily national newscasts.